We awaken to the sound of a voice we feel we should know, yet nothing seems familiar. Where are we? What's happening? Why are we here? What is this strange place? Atlas initialization? What is that? And most importantly, who are we? Thus begins the story of No Man's Sky. We are alone on a strange world with no idea how we got here, what's happening, or even who we are. We only have our basic survival suit, a connection with something calling itself the interface, a multi-tool of very limited use. Oh, fabulous. And everything appears to be broken. No scanner, no analysis capability, no map, totally stranded with very little to go on. For purposes of this playthrough and this series, I'm playing on normal mode rather than survival or permadeath. This will allow us to be able to fully explore the game's story and mechanics while not worrying overly much about survival mechanics, and is generally the most forgiving mode, outside of creative that is. In normal mode, more resources will be gathered from the various resource nodes, your hazard protection will decrease more slowly, damage from the hazards of the universe is lessened, and is generally a much more laid-back atmosphere for new players, those who want a relaxing exploration experience, or just old YouTubers wanting to explore and share the entire story of the game. You know, like me. Not just the main story arc or quest line, but also the full stories of all the various travelers you meet along the way. Luckily, our interface has downloaded a few bits of information about our surroundings, and we notice what appears to be some discarded debris nearby. Is this from us, or just a coincidence that we find this here? Our multi-tool, while damaged, still allows us to gather some basic nearby resources so we can repair our equipment, so with nothing else suggesting a method of rescue or escape, we should probably take advantage of whatever we can find nearby. This includes a damaged container that we must force open by removing some rusting metal. Hope our tetanus shots are current. And two smaller containers that also contain minor resources. Once we've gathered some basic materials, iron, carbon, oxygen, and so on, our onboard AI interface directs us to find sodium for the purposes of recharging our hazard protection. Typically, you'll always be deposited on a planet with a more hostile environment to start your playthrough. This is as much to give you an introduction to some of the mechanics of the game, such as recharging equipment, hazards, storms, and so on, as it is to get you used to the fact that the universe is a dangerous place you should not take for granted. Sodium, in particular, will be extremely useful in the early going, as it is one of the few elements you can use by itself to recharge your hazard protection and avoid taking damage from the environment. Make no mistake, weather can kill you very effectively, efficiently, and quickly in this game, so always keep an eye on your hazard protection meter at the bottom left of the screen. Nearby to our galactic spawn point, we find a fairly extensive cave system. Caves are great places to rest and relax for a bit on hostile planets, as they are protected from the elements and will allow your hazard protection to recharge naturally without using precious resources to keep yourself alive. While we're in this cave, we can take a closer look at the default skin, or suit, of our character. A fabulously well done yellow spacesuit with a large visor, backpack, and green highlights. If this suit looks familiar to you, well, it should, as it is very obviously patterned off the suits worn by David Bowman and Frank Poole in Stanley Kubrick's movie adaptation of Arthur C. Clarke's 2001: A Space Odyssey. While not complete copies of these suits, the design of the helmet and suit specifically are very close to the 2001 design. This is not the first nor last time we will see classic sci-fi movies, shows, and series from the 60s, 70s, and 80s play a role in the design of No Man's Sky, as the look and feel of the game are heavily influenced by pop culture. But we'll have to discuss these influences a bit later, as we can't just hide in this cave all day. Leaving the cave and clearing a small defilade, we activate our scanner to locate the sodium we need to refill our hazard protection. Going in that direction, we're attacked by some sort of tentacle plant thing. There. Better. Clearing another ridge, we find a field of dihydrogen crystals we should collect for later, and some damaged machinery. These procedurally generated items will typically give you technological upgrades in the form of nanites, which can be turned in for blueprints later. They always need to be repaired with random resources, but are a great source of nanites in any game mode. Unfortunately, this one requires pure ferrite, which we do not have at the present. We'll have to skip this one for now. Scanning again and heading further down the plains, we find several sources of sodium, which are surprisingly shown as large yellow plants. In the original version of the game, these plants held zinc instead of sodium, but in either case we can interact with them and our onboard suit AI will helpfully convert them into the resources we need. Next to one of the plants are some crates and containers, probably jettisoned by accident from a passing cargo hauler, including a cylindrical one we can't access without something called an Atlas Pass. There's that reference to Atlas again. What is Atlas? How do we find out more about it? Yet another mystery. We'll have to leave for now. But we at least have the sodium we need to recharge our suit. That's something. After doing so, we complete our first mission and are rewarded by some lovely music and a new objective. Our suit is located a ship's distress beacon. Maybe this is the ship we crashed in. Maybe we can get help there. If nothing else, maybe there's something worth salvaging at the site to make our lives a little easier. If this is going to be home, much as we don't want it to be, it would be nice to not be burning to death all the time. We start heading towards the beacon, gathering some more resources on the way. You never know what you might need, and the more basic resources we have on hand, the better we can prepare for any eventuality. Climbing a ridge, though, we see two ships fly over. Hey, wait up! Come back! No luck. And now night's falling. Perfect. And it's still a balmy 144 degrees outside. Yay, I guess? At least the view's spectacular from here, especially the ringed planet above us. Just wow. Ringed planets are a newer feature to No Man's Sky, introduced in the next update. And they are possibly one of the best parts of the update, in my opinion. They are visually striking and very reminiscent of artwork from the 70s and 80s sci-fi novel book covers like those written by Ben Bova, Isaac Asimov, Joe Haldeman, and others. Again, this is not a coincidence and was an intentional design direction the Hello Games team took during development. Continuing on, we decide to open up our multi-tool interface and see we have a few pieces of technology we can update. Notably, the analysis visor. Finally! After installing this technology module, we need to create a few basic components using our suit AI to do the heavy lifting. A little carbon later, and we have a functional analysis tool. Well, fabulous! That's the best thing that's happened since we woke up. Sadly, we can't add any other technology modules in until we have done some basic repairs to our starter tool, though, so we'll have to wait for a bit before upgrading it further. On the other side of the ridge, we see our destination, a small crashed ship and a round pod that appears to be where the distress signal is coming from. Accessing it, scenario, iteration number 231187661T, deleted. Boundary separation failure likely. Vessel 16 emptied, cause, sentinel intervention, deliberate transfer. Vessel 16? Sentinels? Transfer? I'm so confused. Analysis. Fresh iteration generated. Anomaly containment prepared. Hey, I don't want to be contained. Rescued, sure, but not contained. We now have two options. Broadcast or leave. Well, we want to be rescued, so... broadcast? Broadcast received. Traveler anomaly detected. Anomaly is compliant. Position logged. System integrity scan initialized. Okay. I'm more confused now than when I started, but confusion fades as we look at the abandoned ship next to us. I wonder if we can get it to fly. Looking closer, we see there are some obvious issues with it, and we see 3 more ships far above us flying in formation. We aren't completely alone. There are other people here. Why haven't they responded to our broadcast? Or the ship's distress beacon? Just one more riddle we'll need to puzzle out in due time. We approach and see the ship's designation. Radiant Pillar. So cool. Procedure is generated, but still cool. Iteration number 239-482-908-492-492-492-4G. Online. Atlas connection. Intermittent. Another reference to this Atlas thing. Launch thrusters. Offline. Pulse engine. Offline. Well, that's about typical, isn't it? I find myself alone in a strange world, unequipped and in danger. I have no memory of how I got here, no sense of a before. But this ship at least seems to recognize me. The controls react to my touch, or at least that of my exosuit. I'm not dead yet, and this ship is a lifeline out to the stars. We can now choose to read the log or connect our suit. Neither option locks you out of necessary steps, so we'll choose to read the log. Log number 4925A, unavailable. Substituting data. Exosuit, connected. Suggestion. Pilot should perform maintenance. Select desired repair path. Self-guided repair protocols initiated. The log was damaged or deleted. Interesting. The self-repair protocols give us an idea of what needs to happen next to get this crate back in the air, though, so, once again, that's at least something. Well, repairing a starfighter isn't necessarily the first thing we'd want to be doing at this point. Thankfully, our handy-dandy interface/ship can tell us exactly how it needs to be fixed. Right now, our pulse engines and our launch thrusters are both broken. However, with a few well-placed items, we can actually get some of this working at least. So right off the bat, we go ahead and craft ourselves some metal plating to go ahead and fix what we can on the pulse engines. But there's still a piece missing that we're not exactly sure how to deal with at this point, and that is the hermetic seal. So how do we find the hermetic seal? Well, the game wants you to basically jump out of your ship and then jump back in. I'm not sure why, but we will. And there we go. Now it's telling me what I need. Now it tells me I need to go back into my ship again. Which I'm not exactly sure why they chose to do it this way, but you know what? We're going to go ahead and go with it. We check our objectives, and sure enough, we have to go ahead and get back into our ship to investigate and repair the starship damage yet again. So we jump out of our ship, we take a look at it, apparently kick the tires, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right back in to go ahead and get it fixed again. It gives you the same iteration as it did before and tells you now that it is functional. Starship is still critically damaged. Vital ingredients are missing. Unable to synthesize required components. Pulse engine requires hermetic seal. That's fantastic. Can you find one for me? Recommendation iteration comparison reveals hermetic seal nearby. Salvage planetary chart from distress beacon cache. Well, fantastic. Can you tell me where it is, ship? So we get out and we go talk to the distress beacon yet again. I peer inside the beacon's housing, as well as its distress broadcast unit. It contains a planetary chart. Well, let's take that, shall we? We now have the planetary chart, and we have a few other things that we can actually do. So first, we have a map of a nearby planet. The coordinates will be found if we press this button, and look at that. We get a very far overhead view of what's going on, and a new location has been marked on our map from where we need to go. Well, fantastic. Could you have just told me that the first time around, ship? As I said, this is not the first nor the last time you'll have to actually deal with this particular thing, as there are a lot of things in No Man's Sky where you'll actually think that you know what's going on, you'll check your mission log, and sure enough, you have to get right back into the ship again. We head off in that direction and find a group of plants that we can't harvest just yet. And we break our ankles on the way down, of course. But continuing along, we actually do find what I have been known to call a galactic trailer park. It's basically 2 containers, and that's really about it. That's all that's here, is just 2 containers. Going inside the first one, we see a destroyed area. What happened here? Why is everything turned over? What's going on? Activating the Holo Archive. Accessing Archive. 6 of 7 logs corrupted. Well, that's about typical, isn't it? Entry number 4924A follows. No one making this recording in case leaving behind in the fabricator might be of some use. Visor damaged. Can't find ship. We choose recover the supplies. The log finishes and the machine whirs to life, spitting out supplies. I have the hermetic seal I need to prepare my ship. Whoever it was led me here. Whoever left this message, perhaps they found themselves in the same situation as I do now. Very likely, it seems. However, the log is corrupted in places, and we can't exactly tell precisely what's going on. Next to it, we find a universal language database. Terminal online. Universal Translation Service reach. Lifeform directory available. From here, we can learn a word. You've learned the word Korvax for Korvax. Fabulous. I'm so glad I learned that. Who are the Korvax? Going to the other shelter, we find another destroyed area. Things are turned over, terminals are offline, and there's nothing really else here. However, we do have our dihydrogen jelly, and more importantly, we actually do have our hermetic seal. We need that to fix the pulse engines on our ship. On our way back, we get some more oxygen and see more ships fly over. Get back here! Who are you? Where are you going? Over the mountain they go. With no telling who they were, why they're here, Why they haven't stopped to pick us up? That'd be nice. I could use a lift. My ship's all kinds of busted. Unfortunately, they're going to continue flying. So, back to our ship we go across this blasted landscape, picking up some sodium on our way. Off in the distance we see birds of some variety. Using our scanner, we actually get units. Okay, so what are units and why are we getting them? Hold on a second. Is our ship or suit attached to the internet? It didn't tell us that. What do you mean we've got a connection to some sort of galactic database? So every time we scan something, we're getting units, which I'm guessing are money that we can use for various other upgrades and different things. But why didn't it tell us this before? So apparently we have a connection to some sort of intergalactic database that's giving us money for discovering things, but our suit didn't tell us that. The ship didn't tell us that. What's going on? Well, I mean, the units will come in handy when we want to do things like repair our equipment or possibly purchase items that we wouldn't necessarily find on planets. So I guess we'll just continue scanning. However, now that we have the hermetic seal, we can get back in our ship, access the pulse engines, and get those repaired. Fabulous. We are one step closer. Now we just need to get our pure ferrite to be able to repair our launch thrusters. Ferrite is in copious quantities wherever you go. Ferrite is basically iron, and iron is one of the most abundant minerals in the entire galaxy. We can go ahead and fix our launch thrusters as far as the hydrogen jelly goes, but we need to get pure ferrite. So we can get regular ferrite just by getting rocks. However, we need to get the pure ferrite, but the only way to do that is through some refining. Once again, luckily our suit handily tells us that we actually have access to be able to build this particular item of technology that will allow us to refine our ferrite into a pure ferrite material. Building it, we see that we have to fuel and then put in input to receive whatever it happens to be that we're looking for. In this particular case, we're going to fuel it with carbon, and our input will be our ferrite dust. So once we've put that in, the output gives us pure ferrite. Fantastic. Well, I wish our suit had told us this earlier so we could have gone ahead and done this before rather than having to do it all at once now. But this refining unit is fantastic for refining materials into other things that are going to be necessary later. And now we have the 50 ferrite that we need to be able to actually repair our ship. Finally! Going back into our ship and accessing our interface, we find we can repair the launch thrusters, and that means we are no longer stranded here on this barren hellhole of a planet. We can now take off. And oh, to slip the surly bonds of earth, to fly with the birds, free as a dove, as an eagle in flight, flying above no, starboard. I meant starboard. No. Back. Okay, there we go. Now, no, that's too far. That's a little bit. No, we're upside down now. Inverted. Okay. Oh, no. Put it on that. There you go. Okay, so it's been a while since I've flown one of these. Leave me alone. And you may notice your ship might look a little bit familiar. Well, that's because if you look at the concept art for the game, you'll notice some very striking similarities between this ship and other ships you may have seen in other science fiction movies and shows, such as Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, Space 1999, and a few others. This is another instance of a lot of poetic license being taken by the designers towards the design for their game, for their ships, for the suits, for the environments. We will find some other ships later, especially in the fighter category and the cruiser category, that you may actually recognize as well, and also the freighters and capital ships that you'll run across. We test all our systems to ensure that everything is working properly, but then receive an incoming transmission. Incoming transmission, source 4925B. Please identify yourself. Well, we can identify or listen. Let's identify ourselves and see what happens. You are not alone. Well, that's cryptic. And you are? We also notice the comms override is 16, 16, 16, 16. Follow the broadcast ends as strangely as it begun. The final piece of the signal appears to be a set of planetary coordinates. Inputting those, we get a new map marker. Who's contacting us? And why does the number 16 keep coming up? We still have so many questions as to what's going on. Panning to the planet, we see that there's actually a desert planet, which is very interesting. And there's a lot of various different resources on this planet, of course. But this is where we're going, so let's go ahead and set a course and engage our pulse drive. Okay, let's make this a little bit smoother than takeoff. So down through the cloud layer we go, towards the ground, towards our signal. Alright, so this should be a fairly easy landing. It looks like we've got a fairly clear area. We should probably get... No, we're going too far right. Too close, too close, too close, too close. Dust, dust, too much dust in the engines. Up, up, ow! That's a cactus, don't run into those. Okay, this is a little harder than I thought it would be. Alright, down, right, left. No, don't stand it on the wing. Oh, hill, 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 hill. Okay, cactus. Turn, 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 turn. There we go. Okay, now a nice, calm, even landing. We land on a world filled with cactus. How interesting. Now, if this looks a little bit familiar to you, it probably should as well, because much of the inspiration for this type of planet came from the American Southwest, the Sonora area, where I actually grew up. This is southern Arizona, and it very much appears to be highly based on the Sonoran Desert. We see another ship fly over. I guess they're not stopping here because, you know, it's a flyover area. And, of course, the cactus gives us carbon, so we might as well pick a little bit up while we're here. Unfortunately, this planet has a problem. Space crabs. My nemesis. My enemy. The source of all evil in the universe. Space crabs. Luckily, these are friendly space crabs. But is there really such a thing? Is there really? Shoving the space crabs out of the way, we actually find the distress beacon that we are looking for and are able to access it. The sparking wires of the machine generate a signal, tapping out its broadcast into the void. Whoever left the message is long gone. Well, let's figure it out. Decoding. 16, 16, 16. Here's that number again. Entry number 4295C. No fuel in. Failed to reach station. Hazard protection low. No choice but to underground. Deploying base computer. Base computer? Well, that sounds promising. As well as the log entry, the signal contains plans for a base computer and a terrain manipulator. These are two things we will definitely need. With any luck, the base computer will hold more information about whoever is leaving these messages. We interact and extract the plans, and receive building parts for both the base computer and the ability to actually install a terrain manipulator into our multi-tool. The terrain manipulator will become important because it is the only way to actually be able to access various different nodes of resources such as copper, emerald, gold, and so on. Looking off in the distance, we see more space crabs scuttling past. And we decide to go ahead and repair one of our slots and install our new terrain manipulators. We're going to be needing that very shortly. A few carbon nanotubes and some dihydrogen jelly later, and we'll go ahead and get this completely upgraded, as long as we can avoid space crabs. And with our terrain manipulator fully installed, it's actually time to go find some copper, because that's the only thing that we can actually get that will allow us to build the base computer. Stopping at a ridge, we are introduced to our first predator. Predators will show up as a red dot on your heads-up display, and generally speaking, they will come for you immediately. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for these things while we're wandering around this planet. Finding our copper deposit, we're actually able to pull out our terrain manipulator and destroy the copper deposit to receive all of the resources we will need to build our base computer. Using the terrain manipulator for this is actually a new invention since Beyond and Next. It used to be that you could use your standard multi-tool laser mining beam for this. However, now, because of various different reasons, they're actually using the terrain manipulator instead, which I think makes sense. Now that we've received all the copper that we need, we head back towards our ship so we can actually build our chromatic metal and set up our first base. Maybe not the most ideal place, but it does remind me of home, so... Heading back to our ship, we can go ahead and put back together our portable refiner again. Repower it. And create the chromatic metal that we need for our base computer. Now, however, the question becomes, where do we want to build our base at? Should we put it right next to our ship? Or should we look for a better place to put it? Well, unfortunately, this area is very hilly and rocky and has sort of undulations in it and a cave off to the side, so this isn't exactly the most ideal place for base building. As such, we will actually take a little trek into the hills to see if we can find a better spot to build our base. Off in the distance, though, we see something else that's interesting. A salvage container. Well, I guess we should go check that out while we're here. Pulling on our terrain manipulator, we're actually able to dig further into the dirt and find our salvage container. Unfortunately, it's actually got 3 different attachments, and we have another predator! Fantastic! You can just go away, thank you. Destroying the first of the 3 struts. Corrupted Sentinel. What the crap is that? Pulling out our mining tool is the only weapon we have. We have to take on whatever this thing is. And it's shooting at us. No, 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 no. Back, 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 back. Right, right, right. There we go. There we go. A little bit more. A little bit more. Ow. A little bit more. There we go. Oh, goodness. Whew. Okay. Well, we took care of one of them, I guess. Whew. That was close. Alright, well, let's get the rest of this and see if we can get whatever this thing is. Oh, come on. Alright, 2 down. What are these corrupted sentinels? Well, sentinels are one of the big bads of No Man's Sky. You're going to run into them a lot. These corrupted sentinels are also new as of Beyond. They are a much stranger-looking version than the regular version that was in the game to start with. Hitting our 3rd node. Oh, look. It's another one. Oh, oh. Missed me. Missed me again. Oh, look at that. Behind a rock. You can't handle these moves. Oh, oh, you missed again. And, oh, you didn't miss that time. Ow, okay, getting a little cocky over here. I really should just concentrate. Ow! Would you just die? Ugh, 3 down. Hey, and we can get our reward now. Well, hang on. We got to go ahead and get rid of that. Okay. We can finally get our reward from the salvage container and be able to... Are you kidding me? Another one? Really? Being smart this time, we back off a bit to be able to actually fire at this thing before it actually notices we're here. And take it out rather easily. We'll check our reward later, because right now we have a few other things that we're actually worrying about. First of all, more ships are coming over. And these are pretty. Look at that fighter. That's a beautiful... Oh, look out! No! Run, run, run. Shoot, 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 shoot. You need to go away now. Please fall down, thank you. Luckily, off in the distance, we find a little bit of a refresh station, a health boost, which we're probably going to need at this point, and Wisdom of the Korvax. What is this? Korvax! 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 Yun, yun, yun! Oh, okay. The stone resonates, producing a sound that fills my mind. A vision begins to take shape. A robotic life form turns toward me. Light streams from their metal shell, forming a glowing fog that surrounds us both. They gesture toward me. Accept knowledge, I guess? The name Korvax floats in my vision, an echo of the strange vision I just experienced. A word in this alien tongue is seared into my brain. I've learned the Korvax word for traveler. Okay, that's all well and good, but who are the Korvax? Why am I learning words in their language? Is that an alien species? Should I know them? Checking our inventory, we find what we picked up. The pitted bearing. Well, I mean, it's worth a fair amount, I guess. This is one of a number of items that you can find in these particular containers, if you can fight off the sentinels to get there. After traveling a fair distance and running across yet another space crab. Ugh, those things just creep me out. We find an area that looks very suitable for our first base. It's flat, lots of room. Let's go ahead and build our base computer here. We have a lot of room to expand. We have a fair amount of area. We have lots of resources. This seems like a good spot for our first ever base. Looking up, we see 3 more ships fly over again. We're going to track those things back and see if we can figure out where they're coming from, because I want to know what's going on. I want to know who the Korvax are. Searching cartographic archives. Universal Archive search reveals no prior claim on this site. Sonar test confirms the site is suitable for construction. Claim site. And with that, we claim our first base. This is the claim tool that is used for any kind of base construction when you are actually building a new base in No Man's Sky, or moving your current base somewhere. After doing so, we are prompted to search the base computer archive for more information on what's going on, which is handy because I don't know much at this point. Searching the base computer archive. Accessing log from previous user. Previous user? Entry number 4925D follows. Storm sweeping across, but construction supplies low. Depositing shelter plans while need to. Back soon. And with that, we can extract plans for various different base construction materials. A wooden wall! Well, isn't that handy? We actually get the plans for wooden walls, wooden floors, and a few other random things. Not the best, and certainly not the prettiest kind of things we can build, but you know what? If we can make a shelter out of it, so much the better. I would rather have somewhere to stay than nowhere to stay, to be perfectly honest with you. And while a cardboard box under the viaduct isn't my first choice, I guess this will have to work for now. Luckily, since we've been grabbing carbon every chance we have plenty of building materials to actually be able to put together a quick shelter, and also trade in a few things on our ship. Before doing that, though, we can go ahead and categorize the few creatures that are off in the distance, and stop by another dropped supply crate. After summoning our ship, we can go ahead and get started on our first base. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. Base building and everything else will have to wait until our next episode. I certainly hope you enjoyed this particular episode. I'm sorry it took me so long to get it taken care of and put out. It's been something I've been thinking about doing for a very, very long time. I just haven't had the chance to do. But now that I do, we're going to be talking about the entire story of No Man's Sky. The lore, the inspiration behind it, some of the mechanics, and also the multiplayer aspect as well, as I'll be teaming up with other people from both my community and others to explore the galaxy together. This is the first and what I hope will be a long series for No Man's Sky, discussing the lore, the story, all of the various races that you're going to find. The Gek, the Korvax, the Vy'Keen, the Travelers. We want to delve into their stories as well. So I'm very glad you came along on this particular episode, and I hope to see you again in the next one. But until then, goodbye for now. Make sure you go out tonight, play some games, have some fun, and I'll see you again in the next one. Good night, folks.